Okay, we can take questions, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much for the inspiring lesson as always.
Alhamdulillah.
A couple of quick questions. So the first point is that I've got the copy that I'm following the sharh of Allam Hassan Zada Amali.
Yeah.
And it has what Khaja says as well as what Fakhr Razi mentions. And there seems to be some difference of some words are different.
Yeah.
For example, you mentioned al-muwadhaba ala fa'l al-ibadat. He mentions ala nafl al-ibadat.
نقل العبادات.
Nafl, مثل نافلة.
Uh-huh.
There are a few like
Yeah.
somewhere else it said mutasarrifun. He mentions munsarifun.
Yeah.
And munsarifu the fikr hiya la quds al-jabud.
Yeah. I also said munsarif.
Yes. Yes. So there are a few differences. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to. Is that due to what Ibn Sina mentions being, there are different ways that it's been narrated, and that's why they're different?
Yeah, we call them nuskh badal, alternative editions, because these books were written by hand and they have different, sometimes editions available. Some are older, some are newer, and then some scholars, their specialty is to compare these versions and find out which one is more accurate. And sometimes they mention all of them, but they say, for example, I think this one is better. So some of them, it's a matter of mistake, definitely. Some of them is a matter of likelihood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, the point, the couple of points I had is, so there's two main questions I have. The first one is, right from the beginning you said al-mu'ridu an mata' al-dunya.
Yes.
This i'rad that you spoke about, the human being has, is attracted towards these things, towards the dunya and the mata' of the dunya. So as you said, theoretically speaking about it is easy. But in practice, how do you lose that hope in your reality?
How do you lose hope, or
big question? Sorry.
How do you lose what? Hope.
That hope, that love.
Hope.
That
Yeah.
we're talking about here.
Yeah.
That is the first point. The second point which I had was is the second tanbih. الزهد عند غير العارف معاملة ما كأنه يشتري بمتاع الدنيا متاع الآخرة. So here, we have this discussion that the abid or the zahid, they do mu'amala, تلك عبادة التجار, تلك عبادة العبيد, these things, and فتلك عبادة الأحرار is presumably what the Arafa are after, that they after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not after heaven, not after the blessings of paradise. But the Arif who is also after Allah, isn't that also some sort of kind of selfishness, that he wants something for himself? Those other categories of people, they want paradise or they want to be free from the hellfire. Those are kind of, you can say, it's selfish, because they're just exchanging the pleasure of this world with the eternal pleasure of the hereafter. The same way the Arif as well, he is also saying, I don't even want the pleasure of the hereafter. I want to, be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to reach the maqam of, fana, or whatever he's after is still something that is for his own benefit and his own satisfaction. So how are they different in terms of, that motive, not what necessarily they're after, but the motive that they have is still for themselves. Isn't that still selfishness?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have two questions. One is how to practically get rid of hubb dunya. Of course, this by itself is a kind of independent discussion, very important discussion. But as much as I can say now, briefly, I think it's a matter of more contemplation. There is nothing that can stop hubb al-dunya in us more than contemplation. Thinking about what's the value of dunya. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha very beautifully illustrates that dunya has no value despite its attractions for naive people. For people with sophisticated understanding, dunya has no attraction. Dunya is like for Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, for example, لَتَجَنَّ دُنْيَاكُمْ هَذِهِ أَزْهَدَ عِنْدِي مِنْ عَفْتَةَ عَنْزٍ. The water which comes out of the nose of a goat, for example, or a shoe which is very old and torn out, or أَلَا هُرَّ يَدَعُ هَذِهِ اللُّمَاضَةَ لَأَهْلَهَا, remaining of the food inside the teeth. So he very beautifully explains these things, and I think Nahj al-Balagha is one of the exceptional books in this regard. So we have to reflect on that. Another thing which is also very helpful is to be with people who have no love for dunya. With their true and real example, you would understand how important it is to be focused on the other world. These two help a lot, but it's a lifelong journey and struggle, especially if you want to get rid of all aspects of dunya, because dunya has many branches and maybe the last branch of dunya is hubb al-jah, which is the last thing that goes out of the heart of the Siddiqeen. Not to bother what people think about you, not to bother about social position, anything. For example, I am now teaching you. I should not bother what you think about me, what you think about my knowledge, what you think about my taqwa, whether you think I know or I don't know. I just should do what is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and having no consideration of these things except if it is for the sake of Allah. I should not mind if I say I don't know. I have to ask, I have to learn. It's not easy, it's very, very difficult, and it's a lifelong journey, but we can try. If we have some people who think the same, and we can travel together, we can understand each other, support each other, help each other, be patient with each other's mistakes, but at the same time encourage each other and see good in each other, it can help a lot, inshallah. Number two, if Arif is trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do ibadah, not because of heaven or not because of fear of hell, but still he thinks Allah is good for him, getting closer to Allah is good for him, isn't this also selfish? We have to see what we mean by selfishness. Is anything that we do out of self-love is called selfish, or the things that we do out of self-love can be divided into selfish and unselfish? Muslim philosophers, they have this idea that everything, majority of Muslim philosophers, they have the idea that everything comes from hubb al-dhat, but they can be divided to selfish and unselfish. If what comes from hubb al-dhat comes with compromising about rights of other people, comes with having no love for them and just you try to use them, this is selfish. But if you have hubb al-dhat, but at the same time you have regard for them, you have love for them, you don't want to use them for your own, you want to appreciate them, this is unselfish, which is a good point. But those of you who had the moral philosophy course with me, you know that my understanding is that we have, in addition to hubb al-dhat, other genuine motives in us. And I think other than hubb al-dhat, we have hubb al-khair in general, whether that is for me or for someone else. I don't need to think that that good has to benefit me so that I appreciate. I believe in addition to my interests, I have genuine concern for interests of everyone and for good of everyone. This is my opinion, and we have discussed it. But even according to majority of scholars and also Muslim philosophers, I think still we can say that there is self-love everywhere, even in mystics, even in martyrs, but they are not selfish. Ayatollah Misbah very clearly talks about this, that for example even martyrs and Urafa have also this kind of hubb al-dhat, but they know that this is better for them. Even mothers who sacrifice, they have hubb al-dhat because they know this is better for them. Okay, alhamdulillah, I think our time is finished and the questions also are answered. If there is no other question, inshallah we can continue next week. Please do mubahasa, please study, please prepare your questions. These questions I very much appreciate. And this is not something that we just listen and leave it for the next session. You need to study, you need to think, you need to mubahasa, and inshallah also try to contemplate for your personal inshallah improvement. Iltimas dua from everyone, and hope to see you inshallah next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank for the question. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz. Iltimas.